And I quote, sees another creator find the fat electrician for the first time. Ha 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 ha, evil laugh. Welcome to the crew. And the most requested video by far was when Marines took a duck to a battle. So fat electrician, what do you have in store for us this Sunday? I've got my coffee, it's 2 p.m. and now I'm watching a Marine taking a duck into battle. And before we go, please write all your comments below. I love to read them. It really makes it so fun. So please write all of your comments. And also, I got my Instagram if you want to shoot me a message. Would love to see that as well.
Marine Corps story I've ever heard in my entire life, and there's absolutely no way that it's been embellished. Like a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, we've already talked about the Marine Corps' most famous animal hero, Sergeant Reckless, the horse that was adopted by the Marines during the Korean War that would go on to become the hero of Outpost Vegas and the first horse to ever partake in a Marine Corps amphibious landing. But before Sergeant
What? Okay, you need to send me that video right now. I want to watch that as well.
Corps had another hero from the animal kingdom that partook in multiple amphibious landings in the Pacific theater of World War II. Today we're talking about Sergeant Seawash, aka the Devil Duck. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is brought
The Devil Duck.
to you by Delete Me.
So just a quick note here while I'm editing. I accidentally skipped the sponsored part, but please go and watch the original video, link below.
The 2nd Marine Division is currently in New Zealand gearing up to go into combat against the Japanese in World War II. And like all great military stories, it totally happened. It begins in a bar with a bunch of Marines drinking. And as is tradition with the military drinking at a bar, there are conflicting reports as to what actually happened. According to the Marine Corps, the Marines went out to a local bar in New Zealand. They then started drinking with the locals, and they all had a great, very professional, cordial time where they all drank a very appropriate amount of alcohol, potentially even a Surgeon General recommended amount. And then none of the Marines went out and hooked up with any of the local women. And if they did, hypothetically, which they didn't, but if they did, it would have been strictly in the missionary position, and the Marines would have used protection. Now, while they were at the bar, there was also a raffle. And apparently, a bunch of the Marines bought these tickets for this raffle, and one of the Marines by the name of
Raffle, I guess that's like a lottery?
Sergeant Francis Fagan ended up winning the raffle. Now, the grand prize for this raffle at a bar in New Zealand was apparently a duck.
No.
And that's what the Marine Corps says happened. Now, according to the other sources, mostly the personal accounts of the Marines that were actually there, and quite frankly, common sense, says that the Marines were at this local bar partying their faces off like they were about to go into the biggest armed conflict the world has ever seen.
I was just thinking that. Isn't that a bit, you know, I guess it's the way to, like, get your mind off the things that you're heading into this horrible, horrible battle. Or because I thought, you know, actually, you know, maybe it is, you know, you just want to let go for a minute because I guess your nerves would be killing you. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking.
And while they were there, some of the Marines were playing poker with the locals, and the Marines apparently took all of their money, and they came back to the table, and they're like, all right, well, here's my prize duck. I'm going to put that up as a wager. And the Marine Corps ended up winning that too. And that, again, was Sergeant Francis Fagan, aka Pappy. Now, personally,
Man, Pappy, he must be the gold gambler.
I'm going to go ahead and err on the side of the Marines got hammered at a bar and won a duck in a poker game, and the chain of command didn't want to get in trouble for associating the Marine Corps with gambling, so they just made up some weird shit, like apparently bars in New Zealand raffle off ducks, but you can go ahead and decide to believe whatever you want. Regardless, either way, Francis Fagan, and by extension, the Marine Corps now has a duck. So what are the Marines going to do with a duck? Obviously, they take it under their wing.
I'd like to apologize to the internet for making you a dad.
I mean, to be fair, that is true. I kind of turned her into a bodybuilder for like 18 months between the two kids.
Wow.
Interrupting my history time. Sorry about that. Anyways, the Marines
history
pretty much immediately teach this duck how to drink beer, which I know what you're thinking. That's probably not very healthy for the duck, but to be fair, there are worse vices to have. I mean, he could get addicted to quack. I'm sorry. I'm done.
What was it?
Duck how to drink beer, which I know what you're thinking. That's probably not very healthy for the duck, but to be fair, there are worse vices to have. I mean, he could get addicted to quack. I'm sorry. I'm done. Okay, I'm done with the dad joke.
I love, yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, I love that joke.
That joke was foul. Anyways, they become drinking buddies with this duck. He becomes one of the Marines, and then time
Is this a real picture? It has to be.
Comes for them to all go off to war and actually engage with the Japanese. Sure enough, they take the duck with them. Fast forward November 1943, the Battle of Tarowa. It's one of the bloodiest battles in Marine Corps history. Essentially, the Japanese have 4,000 soldiers dug in and heavily fortified on the Tarowa Atoll, and the Marines have to go in there and take them out. Now, what's unique about Tarowa is it is surrounded by coral reefs, and what that means is any traditional landing craft that America could use, like a Higgins boat, boat, similar to what we used over in the European theater, would get hung up on these coral reefs.
Is that the one they had in Normandy when they came and they the front basically fell down, allowing them to like run out when they were at shore? Maybe it is.
Could use like a hit as it is surrounded, similar to what we used over in the European theater, would get hung up on these coral reefs, and the Japanese would be able to spray it with machine gun fire and artillery and mortars and kill absolutely everybody. The Japanese were so confident in these coral reefs and their fortified defenses that Admiral Shimasaki said that it would take 1,000,000 men 100 years to take Tarawa. But he didn't know that the Marine Corps
that must have been a real island fortress almost.
Had the LVT, the landing vehicle tracked, aka the amphibious tractor, similar to a Higgins boat.
What is that?
Except it had
that was cool.
Vehicle tracked, aka.
Oh my God! Look at this beast. Okay, so how far does this one go out to the water? Where do they release this one from? Like, I guess the main ship. It can't be. Can it be out on the water, or is it maybe like a shore when you get closer to the shore? Let me know, but that was
the
cool.
amphibious tractor, similar to a Higgins boat.
And this was in the 40s, 1940s.
Tracks on it, and then when it hit the coral reefs, it would simply drive right over the top of them. So November 20th, 1943, at 3 a.m., under the cover of darkness, 18,000 Marines and one duck would load into their Salamander tractors as they prepared to launch their amphibious landing at the quack of dawn. As dawn broke, the Japanese soldiers watched in horror as the American landing crafts did not get hung up on the reefs, but simply drove right over the top of them.
They weren't ready for them to be able to get over the coral reef.
The only surviving Japanese officer from this battle, Kiyoshi Ota, would later go on to write, "We could see the American landing craft coming towards us like dozens of spiders over the surface of the water, as one of my men exclaimed, 'The gods of death have come.'" As the Marines reached...
Man, oh man, I would not want that to be me seeing them arrive there on shore. Ooh, that is so scary. That quote almost gives me shivers. Ooh, horrible, horrible, horrible.
The beach, they would become pinned down from heavy machine gun, artillery, and mortar fire over the surface of the water, as one of my men exclaimed, "The gods of death have come." As the Marines reached the beach, they would become pinned down from heavy machine gun, artillery, and mortar fire. They were only able to secure the first 70 yards of the beach after hours of combat. It is at this point that the Marines' front line was charged by an enemy rooster, and Sergeant Seawash charged past the Marine line to meet the chicken in winged combat in the middle of the battlefield.
No, okay, he must be over-exaggerating this one.
Was charged by an enemy rooster, and Sergeant Seawash charged past the Marine line to meet the chicken in winged combat in the middle of the battlefield. After sustaining several pecks to the head, Seawash was able to repel the enemy ambush and save his fellow Marines. The Marines would then go on in the following days to completely take over the island. The Japanese believed that it would take 1,000,000 men 100 years. In reality, it took 18,000 Marines and one devil duck 72 hours. For sustaining multiple peck wounds on the battlefield, the Marines tried to get Seawash the Purple Heart. Unfortunately, that wasn't going to work out.
Purple Heart, I'm guessing that's a sort of an award, a medal?
But the chain of command still cited Seawash for bravery on the battlefield. That citation, written by Lieutenant Colonel Presley M. Brexley, is as follows: "For courageous action and wounds received on Tarowa and the
So it was truly like a battle between the rooster and the duck right there.
Gilbert Islands, November 1943. With utter disregard for his own personal safety, Seawash, upon reaching the beach without hesitation, engaged the enemy in fierce...
Look at the battle scars on his face as well.
...combat, namely one rooster of Japanese ancestry, and though wounded on the head by repeated pecks, he soon routed his opposition. He then refused medical aid until all wounded members of his section had been taken care of first. Seawash and his fellow Marines would then see battle again at the Battle of Saipan, also known as the D-Day of the Pacific. However, allegedly due to some intel, there would be no enemy poultry on the beach, so Seawash's services were no longer needed, and he would remain on the boat for the initial 3 days of the battle. After that, he would go ashore and support his fellow Marines. At the conclusion of the Battle of Saipan, the Marines had gained valuable intel regarding the neighboring island of Tinian, and they would immediately launch another attack to gain that island as well, and this time, the Devil Duck would partake in the amphibious landing. From there, he would identify an enemy duck that he would engage in build combat until forcing it to finally retreat. A couple of days after that, the Marines would take the island entirely, and shortly after that, Sergeant Seawash would lay an egg. Apparently, Seawash and the other duck I mentioned a minute ago were doing a little bit more than just fighting. Either way, at this point, the Marines now realize that Sergeant Seawash is in fact a girl, to which they're like,
"A woman."
Oh, what a movie, Mula. What a
just
movie
kidding,
this
they didn't
one
actually
is.
care. In reality, they were probably giving each other a hard time, like, all right, who did it? Fess up. Tarowa would be the last time that Sergeant Seawash ever saw combat. After World War II, she would end up getting sent back home to America with her fellow Marines and her primary caretaker, Frances Fagan. From there, the story of Sergeant Seawash picked up traction, being in Time magazine, having multiple radio appearances.
So it is basically true. It is a
bunch
true
of
story.
Different newspapers telling the harrowing story of America's one and only devil duck. And while all that's going on, she is partying her bill off with her Marines, drinking beer after beer, while also helping the Marines hit on young women. And I actually believe this to be the first historical appearance of the term wingman being used in relation to picking up women. Okay, I mean, look at this. Fagan and Seawash have more game than an Xbox. That man's about to get more than an animal shelter. Over the next couple months, the publicity would die down, and Frances Fagan would go on to become an electrician. And his great-grandson would also go on to become an electrician that had a pretty decent-sized YouTube channel. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not related to this guy. Anyways, Sergeant Seawash would also then go to live on a farm for an extended period of time until being called back into duty during the Korean War, where she helped with recruiting efforts. After that, she would finally retire to live out the rest of her days in the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago before passing away in 1953 due to liver complications, which prompted the Marines to release a statement saying that there is no reason to believe that her liver complications were due to her excessive amount of drinking during her time in service. According to multiple newspapers, her funeral service was then held in a taxidermy shop where she was then stuffed and currently resides in the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Triangle, Virginia. So in conclusion, this has been the totally real, 100% not embellished whatsoever story of Sergeant Seawash, aka America's Devil Duck. That time the Marine Corps won a duck in a poker game, taught it how to drink beer, then took it to multiple amphibious landings in the deadliest battles of World War II, kept it alive the entire time to bring it back home so they could use it to hit on women, and I think it is the most Marine Corps thing that has ever happened. And if I'm wrong, you can tell me down below, and if your story's better, I'll do a video on that too. Thank you for watching.
So he accepts your stories.
Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
Okay, and I don't want to end it here because you guys told me to wait the whole video. So let's see what he does. Oh, nothing. Okay. If my friend told me this story at the bar, I would not believe him. I would be like, get out of here. I guess that's the thing about Fat Electrician. He finds these stories, these small cores that's around the world. We have a million of these stories, but that's not shed to light. And he tells them, and he's his super good storytelling way. I thoroughly enjoy that. So guys, I am in the rabbit hole with you. Please let me know what you want me to watch next. I want to watch the Finnish one, not the sniper. That one I know a bit of, but the other one I can't remember the name right now. But that I would love to watch that. But if you have more suggestions, please let me know. And as always, take care, guys, and see you soon. And be nice to your neighbor.